my sweeties, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know me, my name is Celise, and thank you for joining my spooky little family. In today's video, we are going to be talking about the top 10 Valentine's horror movies for your weekend. Let's get into the video. Okay, so before I start this list, I know that throughout the list, somebody's gonna come for me because they're like gonna think that one of their all-time favorite Valentine's horror movies is not here. But please stick around to the end because I have 4 honorable mentions for you. In this list, there is going to be a mix of well-known movies and movies that you may not have heard of because you know your girl has to keep you up to date with the movies that deserve all the love.
You goddamn right!
Okay, starting at number 1, we have the rom-com with zombies, and that is Shaun of the Dead. This is directed by Edgar Wright. Of course, we know and we love Edgar Wright here on this channel. Shawn lives an uneventful life which revolves around his girlfriend, his mother, and above all, his local pub. This regular schmegular routine is then threatened when the dead come to life. Now, if you haven't seen Shaun of the Dead for some like weird, bizarre reason, I have no clue what you're like sitting around watching, but you have to go and watch this right now. The editing, everything about this movie is absolutely iconic. It is thoroughly entertaining. It is hilarious, and at some points it is actually scary. So I highly recommend this film if for some reason you have not seen it. Now at number 2 is Possession from 1981. This is directed by Andrzej Zulawski. This stars the Queen, one of my favorite women on this earth, Isabelle Adjani. Possession follows a young woman who leaves her husband for unknown reasons. Her husband then is determined to find out the truth and begins to follow her. But little does he know, what awaits him is something far more sinister. Now, this film is 100% a great Valentine's night in horror movie. This is definitely a film about toxic relationships. It's about a lot of things. I promise you it is thoroughly entertaining. It's visually stunning. It has some very gross and icky moments that will definitely have you covering your eyes. And honestly, this film is worth watching for Isabelle Adjani's brilliant performance. Also, I do want to say, this is not like your typical possession kind of movie. It's not like she gets possessed and then like they do an exorcism. No, this one is so much more unique and interesting, and she actually gets possessed in public, in the daytime, in the street, like in the middle of the street, and it is haunting. You have to watch this film if you haven't seen it yet.
Do that.
Now at number 3 is one that we all know and love, and is also about a toxic relationship, and that is Ari Aster's Midsummer. Midsummer follows a couple who travels to Northern Europe to visit a rural hometown's fabled Swedish Midsummer Festival. What begins as an idyllic retreat quickly devolves into an increasingly violent and bizarre competition at the hands of a pagan cult. Now, I don't care if you didn't like Hereditary and you think Ari Aster's trash or whatever. Stop it. This film is completely different from Hereditary, and it is so beautifully done. The acting is superb in this film. Florence Pugh is absolutely amazing throughout this whole film. We also have some comedic relief from Will Poulter in this, and he's just a genuinely funny person, so that was nice. Because the movie is so heavy and dark, we definitely needed that comedic relief. But if you have no idea what it's like to be scared with the lights on, you need to go and give Midsummer a watch because I was scared. This movie is so bright and so beautiful. There's like, even if you watch it in the dark, it just lights up the whole room. But honestly, I was terrified the whole way through. Now at number 4, definitely kind of counts as a toxic relationship as well. This is Stephen King's Christine. This is directed by John Carpenter. This follows a nerdy boy, Arnie, who buys a strange car with an evil mind of its own, and his nature starts to change to reflect it. If you have not seen Christine, this is a really fun watch. I know that you're probably thinking, oh, it's some like B movie about a killer car. Like, who cares? It's probably like Killer Sofa.
Watch how you talking.
It is not. This is by no means a B horror movie. This is not Killer Sofa. This is not Velocipaster. When I say that this car has a mind of its own, it truly does. But there is something really creepy and eerie about the obsession that he has with this vehicle that keeps you intrigued the whole way through. Also, the actor who plays Arnie gives a very genuine performance. Like, it is very creepy at times. I highly recommend this one. Now, don't think I forgot this one. At number 5, we have Jordan Peele's Get Out. Chris and his girlfriend Rose go upstate to visit her family for the weekend. At first, Chris reads the family's overaccommodating behavior as nervous attempts to deal with their daughter being in an interracial relationship. But as the weekend goes on, strange and disturbing things happen, and he ends up discovering the truth. This film, we know we love it. Everybody has talked about it. If for some reason you are here and you have not seen it, you definitely need to. The performance from Daniel Kaluuya is my favorite one that I saw in 2017. I think he is beyond captivating in this role. And this is one of those films that is genuinely creepy and really gets under your skin. Now at number 6, we have one of my favorite films from the 90s, and that is Fear, directed by James Foley. This one stars Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon, and like, I know Mark Wahlberg, but Mark Wahlberg in this film is so good. He is so good. Like, you have to watch this one. A 16-year-old girl takes up with a charming young man who quickly shows his colors when he beats a friend of hers just for walking with her. His obsession then grows even further when she decides to dump him. Now, this is more along the lines of an obsession thriller horror movie. I definitely think this is one of the better obsession thriller movies. I know a lot of those can have the same formula, but I feel like this one is genuinely creepy and has really good acting throughout. I'm never gonna forget the last 15 minutes of this film. It was so intense and crazy. And honestly, I never thought I'd find Mark Wahlberg creepy until then. Like, I was like, on a lighter note, at number 7, we have Valentine. This is directed by Jamie Banks. Valentine follows 5 friends who are stalked and murdered by a masked assailant while preparing for Valentine's Day. I just watched this film a couple days ago because one of my best friends, Chris, is obsessed with this film, and he has the mask and everything. He always talks about it. He's like, you have to watch it. It's iconic. And I am one that I do not tend to enjoy early 2000s horror movies, but this one is one that I think is so fun. It is very of its time, but it is so silly and ridiculous, and there are some really, really cool kills in this film. I will not mention my favorite kill, as if you have not seen it, I don't want to spoil who dies for you. Now at number 8, we have The Crush. This is directed by Alan Shapiro. The Crush follows a precocious and obsessive teenager who develops a crush on a naive writer with harrowing consequences. This film stars our queen from Clueless, Alicia Silverstone. And while watching this film the other night on Tubi, I did notice that it said introducing Alicia Silverstone, and I about died. I was like, is this her first film? I was like, I'm so excited. Honestly, she did not disappoint in this movie. The very unsettling looks and just overall her whole demeanor in this film is really what creeps me out. Though this is more of a obsession stalker thriller than a horror, I would say that the last 15 to 20 minutes of this film genuinely, to me, felt like a horror movie ending. And I really, really enjoyed that. This is one that if you haven't seen it, you definitely should. I feel like It is such a gem from that time. At number 9, we have one of my favorites on this list, and that is Honeymoon from 2014. This is directed by Lee Janik. A honeymooning bride goes sleepwalking into the woods surrounding a secluded cabin. When she returns, she looks the same, but something about her is frighteningly different. I went into this film really not knowing anything about it. I just randomly found it one night and was like, okay, I'll give this a watch. And this movie had my eyes glued to the screen. For some reason, I have a thing where I am scared of anything bad happening to me, like in the woods or in a cabin in the woods. And something awful like this happening on a honeymoon is somehow even worse and just upped my anxiety. I highly recommend Honeymoon. I think it is a really good Valentine's Day date night movie. Speaking of honeymoons gone wrong, we are at number 10 here, and that is Ready or Not. This is directed by Matt Bedonell-Olfin and Tyler Golick. A bride's wedding night takes a sinister turn when her eccentric new in-laws force her to take part in a terrifying game. This movie honestly really surprised me. I saw the trailers for this movie and I thought, okay, this could go either way. It could be a lot of fun or it could be absolutely ridiculous. The way that Samara Weaving's dress kind of transforms as things start getting crazier and crazier is amazing. I also think that this is Samara Weaving at her best, and I've seen Samara Weaving in like everything she's been in, but I don't know, there's something about this performance specifically for me that really did it. She has this charm about her, and she is such a modern day scream queen. Her screams in this film were genuinely terrifying, and she was funny. This film is just a lot of fun. I highly recommend this one if you haven't seen it already. Now we are at the honorable mentions. I know what you're thinking. You think that I forgot one of the most iconic Valentine's Day horror movies ever. Psych! I did not. It is here. My first honorable mention is My Bloody Valentine. I am gonna say something that might be quite controversial, but I really enjoyed the 2009 remake. So if you haven't seen any of those, definitely add them to your list and give them a watch. Number 2 on my honorable mentions is going to be one we all know and love, and that is Teeth. This film is absolutely iconic. If you have not seen this movie, this is the one that is about the girl who finds out she has vagina dentata, which means she has teeth in her vagina.
That's fucking crazy.
Now, number 3 for my honorable mention is going to be one that I absolutely am obsessed with now, and that is Maniac from 2012. This is a remake of Maniac from the 80s. I will not lie to you guys, I have not seen the original Maniac, so I don't know if it is as good as this remake, but this remake was so well done. I think it is visually gorgeous. The performance from Elijah Wood is so good, and most of it is voiceover because it's all in the killer's perspective. So we as the audience are like in the killer's head. We are looking at everything as the killer. It is really, really cool. It's almost like one of those video games that you play where like you look down and you can see your hands and you're like bustling with the medication. But it was really cool. It was this very interactive and immersive film. Now, my last honorable mention is going to be one that I think everybody knows and loves as well. And this is Guillermo del Toro's Crimson Peak. Now, Crimson Peak, I did not think I would like this movie as much as I did, but when I saw it a couple years ago, I was obsessed. I mean, it was literally my phone background. This is a gothic romance, horror, thriller, mystery. This is a very over-the-top, very Guillermo del Toro film. And the performance from Jessica Chastain is amazing, as well as the performance from Tom Hiddleston. This is one that if you are a sucker for ghost love stories like me, like if you liked The Haunting of Bly Manor, I really think you would enjoy Crimson Peak. All right, you guys, that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe as it really helps me a lot. And also leave a comment down below letting me know if you're gonna add any of these to your list, which one here was your favorite, whatever you wanna talk about, I'm down to talk about it in the comments. I will see you next week, and I hope you have a sweet and spooky Valentine's Day. Bye.